Victoria Hale, had built her empire on precision. Every meeting scheduled to the minute. Every deal closed with surgical efficiency. Every word chosen with deliberate weight. But nothing in her boardroom had prepared her for the silence that had settled over her daughter's life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please stay with us and watch this story till the end. If there is any mistake or shortcoming in our story, please kindly forgive us and support us with your love, patience, and encouragement. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories, and tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from. Your support means everything to us. Lily was 9 years old when the illness swept through her like a storm, leaving behind a world without sound. The doctors had done what they could, and the world had moved on the way it always does. But Lily had not. She sat in corners now where she once danced in open spaces. She watched mouths move and saw only shapes, felt only the vibration of a world that no longer spoke her language. Victoria hired the best speech therapists, the finest specialists, enrolled Lily in the most prestigious school for the deaf in the state. She gave her daughter everything money could reach, and still, when she looked into Lily's eyes at breakfast each morning, she saw a little girl slowly disappearing behind a wall of quiet. The charity gala that October was one Victoria could not miss. The Hale Foundation had co-sponsored the evening, and her presence was not optional. She considered leaving Lily with the nanny, as she usually did for such events. But something stopped her, a gut feeling, or perhaps guilt dressed up as intuition. She dressed Lily in a soft lavender gown and told herself this would be good for both of them. The ballroom of the Langford Hotel shimmered with chandeliers and champagne, with pearls and polished shoes and the gentle roar of people who had never known a silent room. Lily sat beside her mother at a round table near the stage, her small hands folded in her lap, her eyes moving carefully around the room, the way they always did now, reading the world because she could no longer hear it. She did not smile. She had not smiled in a long time. Daniel Mercer arrived at the gala with the quiet confidence of someone who did not belong to this world but was not afraid of it either. He was a teacher at a public school in the east part of the city, invited that evening because his after-school program had received a small grant from the foundation, a grant that had changed 20 lives in a classroom that most people drove past without looking. He came alone because his daughter Maya, who was 8, was home with her grandmother. He had raised Maya by himself since she was 2, and he had learned early that love means learning whatever your child needs you to know. Maya's best friend at school was deaf, and so Daniel had spent 2 years quietly taking sign language, classes in the evenings after grading papers, practicing in the mirror on Sunday mornings, surprising Maya's friend one afternoon in a way that made the little girl burst into the most radiant, startled laughter. He had not told anyone about the classes. It was not something he thought required announcement. He noticed Lily the way gentle people notice lonely children, not with pity, but with recognition. She was sitting very still in a lavender dress, watching the room as though she were watching a film in a language she had not learned yet. He was walking past her table toward the bar when their eyes met, and Lily looked away immediately, the way children do when they expect to be overlooked. Daniel stopped walking. He crouched down slowly to her eye level, and when she looked back with surprise, he raised his hands and signed very simply, "Hello, I like your dress." Lily stared at him, her lips parted. Her eyes, those quiet, careful eyes, went wide and then immediately filled. Not with sadness, but with something she had almost forgotten how to feel, recognition, being seen. Daniel kept his face open and warm, unhurried, as though he had nowhere else in the world to be. Lily signed back with small, tentative hands. "You know sign language." He smiled and signed, "A little, enough to say that you have the best dress in this entire room, and that includes the lady over there with the feathers." Lily looked at the woman in question and then back at Daniel, and she smiled. It started small, like a light being turned on in an empty house. And then it spread, and it was real, and it was the first real smile she had smiled in months. Victoria, who had been in conversation with a board member, turned and went completely still. She watched a stranger crouch beside her daughter and make her laugh in sign language in the middle of a glittering ballroom. She felt something break open quietly in the center of her chest. Daniel stayed at that table for the rest of the evening. He and Lily talked about Maya, about school, about whether dogs dream, about what color music might be if you could see it. Victoria sat with them and watched her daughter come back, piece by piece, in the gentle, unhurried hands of a man who had simply decided that knowing something was worth nothing if you didn't use it for someone else. By the end of the night, they had exchanged numbers, not romantically, not with any agenda, but with the simple mutual understanding of two parents who both loved fiercely and imperfectly and completely. Daniel came to their home the following Saturday with Maya, and the two girls sat on the living room floor and talked, with their hands for 3 straight hours. Lily laughed 4 times. Victoria counted every single one. Some connections cannot be manufactured by wealth or strategy or planning. They arrive quietly in a crowded room, in the hands of a stranger who took the time to learn, a language no one asked him to learn, and they change everything. If this story moved you, please give it a like. Share it with someone who needs it today, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories for more stories that remind us what we are capable of when we simply choose to show up for each other.